I was there for the speeches.
Good morning. Today is June 20th, 2026, West Virginia's birthday, and we are here in East Wheeling at number 77 15th Street. This is the second of a two-part tour. We were just down the street at number 63. So again, this is Friends of Wheeling. I'm Jean Finstein, and so welcome people who are here and welcome those who are online. So a little bit of history first. The nomination for the East Wheeling Historic District dates this property to about 1850. So it's a little bit older than the one that we just saw. Deed records show that the original owner may have been a German immigrant by the name of Dietrich Roemer, R-O-E-M-E-R, who was born in 1833. He worked as a tailor, according to his death record, but no city directories show him as living anywhere in Wheeling. So we're not sure exactly where he lived, and we think that this was property probably used as rental property. In late 1862, Joseph Nolte, who worked as a potter, purchased the property from Dietrich and Melusina Roemer. Nolte seems also to have used this as rental property. There was an 1871 map of Wheeling. It does show a building at this location with the initials JN on the map, which probably stood for Joseph Nolte. City directories from as early as 1879 show a Louis Mueller, M-U-E-L-L-E-R, a shoemaker, as having his place of business and residence here at 77 15th Street. However, he was not an owner. He was just a tenant. He was also a German immigrant. Following his death in 1914, his widow, Johanna, and daughter Agnes continued to live here until at least 1917. Fulmer and Sims Dairy appears briefly in city directories here in the early 1920s, followed by the Quality Shoe Hospital in the 1930s and Philip Folio Shoe Repair in the 1940s to mid-1960s.
That makes sense. Keep that in mind.
All right. The upper floor was a residential rental unit. There are no listings in city directories in 1966 through 1970, suggesting that the property was vacant during those years. Descendants of Joseph Nolte, who bought it in 1862, finally sold it in 1971 for $11,000 to American Legion Post 89. Now, of course, after World War II, many veterans came back to the U.S. and they wanted to group together to support each other and formed American Legion posts. However, there was still a good bit of segregation at the time, and so this became the African American Legion for all of this area, I believe. It may have been the first Black American Legion post in the entire state.
It was?
It was. By the early 2010s, unfortunately, there was a bit of notoriety here. The owners let people in who were not veterans, who were not members. They needed the revenue to maintain the property, but then they also got the riffraff. And there was a bit of a problem. At one point in 2015, there was a murder right here on the street. Apparently there was an argument that began in what was the bar and came out on the street and was murdered. And if you were living here at the time, you may remember that City Council threatened to shut the property down as a public nuisance. But the members got their act together. They quit allowing the riffraff to come in. Was no longer a public bar. It went back to being a Legion type of bar, and things were great as far as disturbances were concerned. However, then the revenue was not as much, and so they ran into financial difficulties and sold the property in early 2025. The current owners are JAI Properties. Do I have that right?
Yeah, we'll fill in
the details later. Okay. And they currently have an online survey asking anyone what they think should be the future of this property, and I will include that in the documentation that goes along with this video, so you'll be able to answer the survey questions.
Thanks, Gene.
So, Vincent, you want to take it from here? Thank you. I'll do my little commercial message first. You can tell who the treasurer of Friends of Wheeling is. Steve, thank you very much. As I said, this is Friends of Wheeling. If you're not a member and you would like to join us on future tours, or you're just an old house lover, then you may want to become a part of Friends of Wheeling. Dues are $10 a year. We also are starting a preservation fund to help support people like these folks who are trying to rehab and are building huggers as we are. So that's my commercial message. Thank you, Steve. All right, and Joanne Sullivan was behind the camera so far. I will take the camera at this point, and we will move around.
Thanks so much,
and we'll
Gene.
start over here with Vincent.
Yeah, thanks so much. Vincent DeGeorge here with Tanya and Hannah. And yeah, to talk about the Legion a little bit, let's see. I think first I want to start with a broad overview of as it's been American Legion post-'89. And then I'm going to throw it over to Tanya to talk about kind of the neighborhood history of this building, because it's deep and it's complex, but it's worth sharing, and I think that's really important. The way I've heard the story, and I think that's a good way to tell stories, is that yes, in 1946, after America won World War II, that was the first American war where the U.S. Armed Forces were integrated, right? And we have these terrific stories of the Tuskegee Airmen, many of which were from the Ohio Valley. If you go up to Steubenville and Weirton, they have the big memorials there. So we have these patriotic Americans who helped fight hate abroad and came home, and it was 1946, and there was still hate in America, and segregation, Jim Crow was still the law of the land. So even in West Virginia, Wheeling, the North, if we come around here, we'll see this original placard of the founding members of American Legion post-'89, and these are all American veterans who fought and won World War II, but were not allowed to join the local American Legion post in the United States in Wheeling, West Virginia. But as in an ode to, I think, these gentlemen who, you know, there was no stopping them, abroad or here, they started this here in 1946. So they must just not have owned the building, and I wonder if that shoe repair gentleman was either one of these veterans or had a connection there and offered them the space. So that's something to look into.
No, I believe that they were in a different...
The Legion has been here, and I want to pass it over to Tanya to talk about that. On the acquisition of the building, you want to come back over here again, Gene?
Yeah, they didn't own the building until 71, but they may have been in here as tenants.
I think so. And again, you might know this. But in terms of this acquisition of the building, again, I've been in East Wheeling for a decade here, and in 2024-ish, my lawyers, and at that point the pandemic was really the thing that closed the doors in the Legion most recently. And because they had gotten it back up and running in 2019, and they put a lot of money and effort into that, and the pandemic came and a lot of businesses closed. So they closed up, and we're, I think, formulating what to do. Again, we'll hear more about that. But then the bank got it somehow. I got a call in 2024 from local lawyers down the road, whose mother actually lived in the house that was next door. So he had a connection to that. That's really something. And he said, Vincent, I know you have an interest in East Wheeling. We're auctioning the Legion. Are you interested? And I said, absolutely, I'm interested. I do not want another building, but that building is too important to the neighborhood. Let me make some phone calls. So we called a friend, Jeff or Jay Johnson, who owns this building across the street, and has done a great job. They just put a new facade on that one. He owns attention to detail on the island. And my priority in calling Jay and talking with the lawyers was always to keep this building, which again, in my estimation, from my time here in Wheeling, is a community staple. There are stories from this building that again are worth preserving. So I wanted to, my goal was to keep this building in the neighborhood.
Has it always been red, white, and blue?
We'll talk more about the
Oh,
details.
thank you. Yeah.
I got it to, so we went down to the courthouse, and Jay and I, we got it at auction. He got it at auction. And then again, business happens. And he, a little while later, wanted to sell it. So I talked to Jay, and I said, all right, Jay, so, you know, we help you get it. No one's from out getting it. And then that's when I purchased it from Jay, with two stipulations in the contract. One, that if post 89 American Legion ever wanted to meet in here again, once it's renovated, and that's, you know, there's there could be a long if there, that there would be space available to them to meet here, and that two, any memorabilia that's in the building, and we'll see some of that on the second floor, that it would be preserved and displayed in the building in a way that honors the legacy of the Legion. And Jay and I, we thought those were important statements to include there. And that's kind of where we are. Again, we'll talk when we go through about kind of the renovation as we see it. But I do want to throw it over to Tanya to fill in, again, those really important 70-ish years when this was American Legion Post 89, the longest, the first and longest operating Black American Legion chapter or post in the state.
Hi, my name is Tanya Woody. My name is Tanya Woody. I'm part of the East Wheeling Collaborative with Jamil Alexander, who couldn't be here for Father's Day celebration we're preparing for. I was born in 1973, so I grew up with this building. This building has been, my father was a resident of East Wheeling, and I grew up with this building. It has been a staple of the community forever, you know, for the Black community forever. There was Mr. Wingo. I don't know if anybody talking about Mr. Wingo. Mr. Wingo ran the Legion when we were young. He would, as children, like we could come out here, we would be out here, we would get chips, pop, you know, anything, you know. And there was on 4th of July, you know, where the community is used to the Legion always hosting a 4th of July celebration out at Wheeling Park. You know, it's the history. It's always been an anchor and staple of our community. So seeing it go, and my dad also, I was telling somebody here, my dad, he served in Vietnam and he was a member of the Legion. And so as kids got older, we were able to be members, because you could be a member if you had a family member that was a member. So that's how you were grandfathered into the actual Legion, because they did not let just anybody into the Legion back then. You had to be a member, or you had to be with a member. So I remember when we were old enough, me and my siblings, we got Legion cards. We got member cards. And I still have our member cards somewhere. And so we were able to be members. We came in, but things kind of took a turn when the neighborhood took a turn. And not the people of the neighborhood or the community or even Wheeling, period. It took a turn when you had the drugs that came in. Drugs came in, drugs hit the streets. You had a lot of out-of-towners that came in and infiltrated, and I mean a lot. People you didn't know, and it kind of took a turn to be just a neighborhood bar. After Mr. Wingo passed away, you had somebody else rerun it, and it became just that. It strayed away from members only, and anybody could come in, and that's when the problems began. The problems began, and it just was, like I said, it was just a plain neighborhood bar where everybody from everywhere, all cities congregated, you know, and then that's where the problems come in. Not again from the people that lived here, grew up here, you know, they're trying to rectify the issue, but when you have people who don't know, what can you do? So, you know, it And also, wait a minute, I'm going to stop for a minute. Crystal, you want to come up here? I know, but I want you to come up here.
She was singing
My
last
cousin
night.
Crystal.
Weren't she?
This is my cousin Crystal Smith right here, and she knows a lot. I was just telling them about how how we felt that this came about. I said, you know, you remember, like, it was a members only. You know, when our parents were in it, her mother, she fried chicken here. Some of the best chicken that was ever had came out of Wheeling.
If we ask you, like, what does the Legion mean to you? Maybe what would you say? Just a little bit. You don't have to give a whole speech. Probably.
Yes.
It really does. It's community to us. I've said that as well. If there's an opportunity for us to rebuild something similar to that,
You're here.
yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Look, I'm sorry. Sorry for putting you on
Yeah.
family. But you know, her mother was another anchor and staple. Like I said, she was the one that fried chicken. And you know, I don't know if you understand fried chicken. It's clean. And we put it in brown paper bags. After it was done, you put it in a brown paper bag. Put a piece of bread in there, and sometimes they put the hot sauce in there. And this you knew when chicken was fried because you could smell it out of that thing. So I'm going to go back to what I was saying. So, you know, as when things took a turn and you know, you had the out-of-towners coming in, and it became a bar. That's what it became. And that's when the problems began, you know, the fighting and, you know, but again, it was not us. It was not the ones that grew up in the community. So, you know, and like you said, it became a nuisance. The city said it was a nuisance. So we had other members come in and, you know, try to rectify the situation, but it was kind of like the damage was done.
Yeah.
You know, it just wasn't the same. So what I would like to see, and I'm pretty sure, like my cousin Crystal said, what we as a community would like to see, because this building means the world to us. We would really like to see it. It's never going to be what it was, but we would like to see it as something that is new, something that we can come and we can be proud of. You know, we still can come and we can still have things. We can still, you know.
Can you still make the fried chicken though?
After her mother passed away, I actually rented the kitchen space in here for years, and I started frying the chicken. So I can do that. Yes, a space that we can come together, and not just saying the African Americans, a space that we can come together and we can be peaceful, and we can just grow. You know what I mean? And we can, because you know the world we live in today, we have so much division, and it's unnecessary division. And I love everybody. I don't care what color you are. I just want us to have something in this community, and I want us to be able to keep that for everybody that remembers and grew up, and this is our lives. So.
And from a preservation standpoint, I really think that East Wheeling is the up-and-coming place. This is the right place to start something like that, a community center or whatever. So thank you so much, Tanya. We really appreciate your insights.
I think, man, sitting here on West Virginia Day and Juneteenth, this is a fitting, a neighborhood space, and I think that's what Hannah and I really have in mind here. Again, the first steps are, you know, just renovating the building, but then figuring out what we're going to do there. That's exciting. And thank you so much for telling that story. I think it's really important. Like Jean, you say, if East Wheeling is the next up-and-coming neighborhood, I think it's so important that the neighbors who have been here, I've been here for a decade, there are neighbors who've been here for tens of decades, longer. They are part of that revitalization, and a revitalization that doesn't include the people who've been here all along again, you really have to ask the question if that's worth it.
Right, right.
We're committed to making sure that our neighbors are here. So, with that, should we go inside?
Let's do that.
Yeah, you've got to run. There's
I have the R&B brunch to go to.
All right.
the event's going.
Overwhelmed me a little bit.
I will see you guys.
I think we're gonna do something on the
Yes, thank you. Oh, you. Okay, well, I will be there for that.
We'll talk
All right, thank you. Nice to meet everybody.
Nice to meet you, Tanya.
All right. Thanks for not here. This will be a shorter tour. The other thing, why the Legion went to auction is that there are costly repairs that are part of this project. Unlike the Yellow House, there are some structural elements here. So we've cautioned off some things. You can see them, but yeah, we've mapped out a course that is safe. And yeah, we've got. We're talking with the Aero Engineering Group out of Morgantown. They do great work, so we're in the process of seeing what the structural fixes are and how much they'll cost and all that. So, Gene, we may contact you about that preservation fund. Okay. All right, come on in.
But with the two double doors out front, it almost looks like it was a duplex.
It was according to records, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, you're accurate. Yeah, feel free to stand over on this side. You can come in.
The floor.
I know. Yeah, that's one of the big ones. The other ones that are behind you. What's your name, sir?
Me?
Yeah, were you the one who was saying it made it look like a duplex?
Oh, that was me.
Steve.
Steve. Yeah, Steve, you got a keen eye for these things. So Steve mentioned when you come in that with the two doors, it looks like this was a duplex, and indeed it was. So there were always two buildings. Here, we're going to come this way a little bit. And you'll see this is a brick wall in the middle that at some point they opened up so that there could be a single unit. And this was the bar that was what most people know of as American Legion Post 89. Upstairs was really employees only, but we'll get to go up there. The bar curved around here, and that's actually where all your fluids come in and they sit there on the floor. So this is there's structure work that needs to be done here, and then again. Oh, I should have mentioned on the outside of the building. Original rear exterior brick wall here that there was an extension put onto in the back after the fact. And so we'll need to give this rear exterior brick wall some love. Come in, we're giving a tour. And you'll see, again, the only water damage is actually exterior water damage. Bar water damage, different story, is actually in the rear extension. And I really like that. That's one of the things I looked for. So again, the original lumber is dry and is that same really thick studs. So that's exciting. Again, we're talking to the engineers about the rear of the building. Any questions down here? You'll see some features of, again, what looked like an old grocery store or something. I don't know exactly. But very few. There have been many renovations of this building over the years.
Look at all the different layers of flooring over there.
Layers of flooring. There was more electric than I could shake a stick at. Again, these, the glass, what is that?
Glass block.
Glass block, certainly put in, again, 70s, 80s, something like that.
That's good, that's good.
You like that?
Yeah.
Big transoms all the way across the top, which again, kind of, in my mind, reminiscent of a grocery or something like that. Big storefront. So I wonder, I haven't seen really old pictures of the Legion before it was the Legion to see if that was all open glass, kind of the way Buddy's is.
It'd be nice to have.
Oh, yeah.
But again, if it was a split unit, and it seemed like it was more housing, like a boarding house or just housing, rental housing, Would they have had the big glass in the front? I don't know. So that's downstairs. Let's go upstairs. We'll go together. And yeah, there's some, what do they call them? In the movies when you put in a little something special?
Easter eggs.
Easter eggs. We've got some Easter eggs up there that I think friends and family will enjoy. Again, all rear extension, so nothing original here.
The joint friends are willing to be on the tour.
No. Anybody can come.
I heard that. I was listening.
Use the railing.
On the internet on my car.
Yeah, the tours are open for everybody.
And they're really, really neat. You know, I don't even think I've never been upstairs here.
Remember your emails when they're just
Oh, okay.
That's the advantage of being a member.
Absolutely. You're a good salesperson.
She's the PR person.
That's right.
Been doing this for a number of years.
So come on in. Again, we're still in the rear extension until we cross this threshold.
Never been up there in my life.
I was going to ask you that.
No good reason to.
Yeah.
We're pretty convinced that those stairs we just came up were actually a back porch that eventually were just enclosed. So here we are again. Again, we can come all the way up to the front if we like. You see, by the second floor here, it was all wood studs. So even if it was split, certainly made by the same owner, the same tube of grape lumber, and then Jean is going immediately over to some of the first Easter eggs on our tour. So this, on the things that we put on the mantle here, are all, I mean, I'll call them artifacts from when we were doing the initial clean out of the building, and all of that came out of the ceiling of the second floor here, so between the attic and the second floor, and it's some of the oldest stuff. A lot of old glass bottles, like this one has a brand on it, and I know there's a bunch of people who love looking at old glass, and so if we can date some of these, that'd be fun. But these are two that I didn't know why there were old shoes in the ceiling of this building. But as Jean just mentioned, apparently this was a cobbler, a shoe repair shop, and that's an old shoe. I mean, that is not even like a 1950s shoe. That's
It's definitely an old shoe, but only one.
but only one. And then this little slipper.
Yes.
Well, it's made is yet to be found.
Oh, did Daryl come? Great. Daryl, man, I may pass you this mic because let's go over to the other side. Friends of Wheeling, Daryl Clausell just came in, the president of the local NAACP, and he's been involved in preserving a lot of buildings, especially for the black community, including the Pythian building, which he's giving a tour at 2 o'clock? 2 o'clock today, worth seeing. And yeah, Daryl, we've been trying to partner to make sure this building gets the commemoration it deserves. Let's go to the other side. You can walk through the studs, or you can walk around the door, and we'll start
I'm
seeing
not skinny enough. I need to walk.
the little Easter eggs here. And this was some of the memorabilia that that was here, that the building has kept safe for a long time, and that again I made sure to put in the contract with Jay that we make sure continues to be preserved and shared in a way that honors the legacy of the Legion. So let's see. Let's start. We'll talk about them a little bit. Yeah, I think this is the one that deserves the first mention. Here, this is the POW display. It was actually downstairs when we started doing the clean out. So part of the American Legion post. Is anyone? What do we? If you're a member of the Legion, a Legionnaire?
Yes.
Is anyone a Legionnaire? So I think this is a thing that like every American Legion post has, which is the POW display for our veterans of foreign war that are POWs. So that's really nice, and I think there's two things that we're trying to get in contact with the Legion to see if we can get back to them sooner than later. I think the POW display, and then these up here, these are all American flags. They're old American flags because this is one of the main functions of any American Legion post. When you fly your American flag at home or wherever, after a while they get worn and torn, right? So you have to retire your flag, and you don't just throw a flag away. You take it, and it's ceremonial. And Legion Post will do this for free. They'll take your flag and then they'll dispose of it once a year. So I'm guessing, I would love to get confirmation, but I'm guessing that these are just old American flags that were collected here. People still do it. Since Hen and I have gotten the building, we've gotten 3-ish flags that people leave on the stoop, and we take them. I keep taking them in. And again, we're working with the American Legion Post, Post 1, which is the first, it's funny, we have the first chapter over in, like, Fulton, and then this was the first black chapter in the state. And they're still active. They just meet together to try to get these flags back to them. We have some neat stuff just from the bar. We have like a payphone. Over here we have a bunch of glasses and things, which are kind of neat. But continuing on the American Legion stuff, we have portraits of 2 gentlemen here who, again, like Daryl, Tanya, if we can do some history, and I'm sure, like, if these are presidents of the Legion, we can find out who they are. But then, again, old army hat, bugle. These are, what do they call them? The rifles you fire ceremonially at, like, funerals and things, or when you're in a parade. So, neat stuff. Old golf clubs. So again, the building has kept them safe, and yeah, I committed to Jay there that we would preserve these things and share them in a way that honors the legacy. Because as Tanya mentioned, it's a legacy worth sharing. Thanks so much to Claudia, Crystal. And there's some other little things around here. Again, some chairs that maybe were used here at some point. I love these folding chairs. There were a good bit of those. I love the brass shelves. Again, one of those was downstairs and one was in the attic. I had to do, there was some legwork to get all this stuff. I may have had to go dumpster diving to make sure it didn't get thrown away.
Are you leaving it like it is, or are you opening up anything, or you just...
Great question. We haven't even decided on layouts and things. Well, Chris, that's a good question. I suspect we could get 2 apartments out of the 2nd and 3rd floors. There is a 3rd floor here. We won't go up there today. But if...
That could bring some revenue in to help
Sure,
support
sure.
the building, yeah.
So if we did like, there's actually 2 high ceiling rooms in the 3rd floor. And then so if we did like 1 room with the 3rd floor access here, an apartment, and the other 3 rooms on the 2nd floor, I think those would be 2 roomy apartments.
And again, you're going to leave the exposed brick?
Good question, all to be determined.
Yeah.
First structural engineers, then architects and floor plans and all that, and then a good bit of renovation. I would love if this calendar year we could do most or all the design work, and then next year we can do renovation construction. That is, until the engineers get back, there's only so much you can plan.
Yeah. 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 Well, another great project.
Yeah, yeah. Any questions up here? This is as good a place. Joe, do you want to say anything about the Legion? We asked Crystal. Tanya asked her on the street. She stopped her and said, the question we just had to ask was, what does the Legion mean to you? So if you want, here, step through even.
Oh, that's okay. I just wanted to get here before.
Well, I won't put you on the spot, too. I know you've got your own public speaking later on.
No, I'll say that.
Okay.
I was saying something. Am I asking?
You can. Here, step through this one so we don't step on this.
But, no, I just was thinking. I'm always thinking on the other ends, and the fact that why this organization, American Legion, post
89.
yeah, still exists, and the fact that even though through segregation and integration, the reason these 2 were separated was because of the Jim Crow laws, etc. But even after integration, if you notice, all the different frat or fraternal orders are still separated. You've got the Masons black and the Masons white, the Elks black and Elks white, the Legion black and Legion white. And the fact of it is, the folks are best of buddies. But the tradition and the culture was kept to maintain the history. And that's important, because even though we all get along, it still need to be known for the coming generations that these situations did exist, so that they work together with their the generations of all cultures to maintain everything associated with the tradition of wheeling. So I just wanted to say that, because that's a real important piece as to why, the same reason for the Pythian building. The Black Knights of Pythias, the White Knights of Pythias. And it's not a racial thing or anything like that. It's the history that brought us all together. So I'll leave it right there.
Thanks, Daryl.
Thank you. Thank you.
I think that's important. What historians, when we're telling stories, we can't change the stories of history, right? But we can change the stories that we're continuing to tell going forward. And Daryl, I like what you're alluding to there. Is there a prospect of some of these, what were segregated societies, finding a way to come together in a way that does preserve the stories of the past, but also tell...
But bring us all together.
Yeah.
Isn't that so much fun when you can talk about these things and you talk about them now in a positive way.
Hear, hear.
In a way that brings the community to work together because of just the projects that are associated with everything going on in Wheeling. Everything. I mean, it's not just this, it's not just that, it's not just the gateway, but it's the cultural history. It's the fact that here we all are interested in knowing that all of these different segments of our residents and citizens existed at one time. And, in the different communities and neighborhoods, which I'll talk more about that at the fifth meeting.
We'll be there. And I think
All right,
exactly
thank you.
That's what we're trying to do big picture with this building, is honor the building and the story it is, but in a way that the community has to be an essential part of. So thanks so much, Daryl. And Friends of Wheeling.
And as a historic preservationist, I will say perhaps historic preservation can help with those efforts. These are the buildings where these things happened.
I haven't
So,
gotten to it yet, but I plan on sitting down if you ever in this.
Well, I see
Great.
these buildings as
Let's
living
do that.
museums, it's
Yeah.
just, and to protect these buildings is just, so much of our history, racial and every other way. I mean, this neighborhood, East Wheeling, has changed
Right.
over time. It was dominantly a black community, but before that it wasn't.
Right.
In the 1860s or whatever, there wasn't the dominant. So,
a lot of immigrants were here.
yeah, communities change,
Right.
but holding on to something to the past is so valuable that you can't regain once you lose it.
Right.
And that's
Yeah.
my passion.
And making sure we don't lose these things. I think that's a passion we all share. It's like it seems to be that there's a critical period here where the buildings, they can't exist on their own without support forever. And we need to make sure that we capture both the buildings and the stories that go with them. And that's why I'm so pleased to have both the Friends of Wheeling and Daryl here today.
Okay.
Reading about it is one thing, living it again is another.
Here.
That's big.
Yeah. And visiting the places brings it more to life. So thank you so much. And Vincent, and again, this is Jean Finstein, Friends Wheeling Tour at 77 15th Street.
Happy West Virginia Day.
Happy West Virginia Day, signing off now.